Hello everyone, welcome to Indian Economy by Aman Soni. In today's news hour, shall be discussing the important articles related to economy from the Hindu news. In page 1, there is a news about the government increasing the GST on certain household items. Here we need not go into the details of which items the tax was increased or which items the tax was decreased. But there is a concept called inverted duty structure that is important for exam. The government has corrected the GST tax on certain items to correct the anomaly of inverted duty structure. See, generally what happens, the manufacturer produces the goods, he sells the goods to the wholesaler, then the wholesaler sells it to the retailer, and the retailer sells it to the ultimate end customer. Because GST is an indirect tax, the tax would be ultimately passed on to the consumer. So all the value addition, the tax would be finally borne by the customer and the customer would be paying the tax. And generally for most of the items, the tax would be same. For example, if you take textiles, approximately the tax is almost 5% on normal textiles throughout the supply chain. But on certain items, the tax for the inputs is more than the tax for the output. For example, if you consider the manufacturer of tractors, the, the tractor manufacturer, he has to purchase metals, then incur costs on labor, then various manufacturing costs, and on the certain items and components, the tax rate is almost 18%. For example, so the manufacturer would incur the cost, then he would sell the tractor, the end product to wholesaler, then retailer, here the tractor supplier, and finally to the farmer. Now, because the government wants to promote agriculture, the government wants to help the farmer in India who is already distressed because of various reasons. The government may put 5% tax on the tractors. Now, what has happened? And on the components which are input, the tax rate is 18%, and the tractor which the manufacturer is selling to the dealer, the tractor rate is 5%. So here, every time the manufacturer makes a sale, the amount of tax that he had already paid to the government is more than the amount that he is supposed to pay on the end product. For example, if the tractor manufacturer has to pay 5 rupees to the government because of rate of 5%, considering the price of the tractor as 100%, he has already paid 18% on the components. So even if he takes input credit, the differential amount, he has paid additional amount to the government and he has to claim the amount from the government. So here consider the example of some tractor manufacturer. Imagine the amount that he would have already deposited to the government, and every month after every filing of the return, so much amount would be get struck with the government, and the manufacturer has to claim the amount from the government because the amount that he has deposited in the form of GST tax to the government is more than what he is supposed to deposit, because the tax rate on the input components for this particular tractor manufacturing is 18% and here it is just 5%. For a huge firm, capital, especially working capital, is very important. For the day-to-day business, you need amount, and that working capital, if it is get struck with the government in the form of taxes, that would be a financial cost on the manufacturer. His interest rates, his financial costs, his working capital costs especially would increase. So in order to remove this problem, the government has changed rates on certain items to correct this. For example, in this case, if the government had changed the rate here to say 5% on all the components that are used in the tractor manufacture, then the components 5% and the end product 5% would be the same, and in this case the tractor manufacturer would have to deposit money to the government and not claim money from the government because he has already deposited more in the earlier case. This is the concept of inverted duty structure, where the duty that is paid on the inputs is more than the duty on the final product. That's about this article. There are no economy related articles in the editorial page and open editorial page. In the news page, there is a mention of news about the primary agriculture cooperative. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, it has approved a plan to digitize all the 63,000 primary agriculture credit societies in India. The PACs, as we call it, they are the basic link between the farmers and the government, and especially PACs play a huge role in providing direct benefit transfers to the agricultural farmers, and in providing the interest subvention schemes and implementing that, and in assessing and providing an approval of the crop insurance, that is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, and even while providing subsidies with regard to various inputs, fertilizers and seeds, the primary agricultural cooperative society, they act as a primary link between farmers and the government. So now the government has approved a plan to digitize all these primary agriculture cooperative societies. Under this, the accounting system and all the records of the primary agriculture cooperative societies, they would be digitized and be uploaded into the cloud. So any changes would be automatic, and all the changes would be captured. There would be transparency, and because it is digitized, there would be reliability of the record, and it also leads to efficiency. In the business page, there is a repeat article again about the weakening of rupee and what is the reason for falling of the rupee, the depreciation of the rupee. The main reasons being the outflow of money, the foreign portfolio investors and the foreign institutional investors, they are removing money from the Indian market, from the capital and equity market and the debt market, the FPIs from the debt market, and they are taking the money to the foreign markets, especially to USA, where the federal government has changed the interest rates. Now because they are taking the money out, they need dollars, so they are dumping rupee and buying dollars. The demand for dollar increases as against the demand for rupee. So the value of dollar with respect to rupee increases. So that's why the value of rupee is getting depreciated. So one of the main reasons is the outflow of FPI and FII. The second reason being the high cost that we are paying for the oil. Because we are importing oil and the oil prices have increased, now we have to pay more, and for that we need to exchange more money into dollar. Again, it is leading to increased demand for dollar, and rupees value is getting. And the other reason being the deteriorating trade balance. The exports and imports of India have increased in this current year compared to the last year because we have recovered from COVID, but the increase in the imports is more than the increase in the export. So we are having unfavorable trade balance. So in order to pay for the unfavorable trade balance, we again need more dollar for importing. So the demand for dollar against rupee is increasing. So again the value of rupee is getting deep. So here you can see how the outflow of FPIs, the payment for high oil prices and the payment for trade balances, all this is affecting the value of rupee, and the value of rupee is getting depreciated. Here in prelims we can get an MCQ asking which of the following would affect the value of rupee, and they can give options: FPI outflows, payment of crude oil prices and unfavorable trade balances. So all of the above would be correct. Ultratech said to pay for Russian coal in Chinese yuan. This is the first time an Indian company is paying to Russia for import of coal using the Chinese yuan instead of US dollar. So here there are various implications. One, in order for Russia to overcome the restrictions that the US government has put because of the Ukraine conflict, Russia is promoting payment through Russian rubles, and here the Russian companies are accepting Chinese yuan also. On one hand, this is beneficial for Russia because it is avoiding the payment through dollar and increasing payment through some other currency. And for implications for Chinese yuan, the Chinese yuan, even though China is the largest trading partner, largest trading country in the world, the amount of influence of yuan is not that much as compared to the US dollar. US dollar is accepted as a global currency for global trade, but China, this is a right opportunity for China to increase the power of yuan and to make yuan more acceptable for payment through countries. So this can signal two things. It is either the increasing strength of Chinese yuan and falling clout of the American dollar. At the same time, Accepting payments to Chinese yuan have various problems. For example, the exchange rate of Chinese yuan is manually controlled by the Central Bank of China, and it is not a free currency like the US dollar. It is not based on market. It is fixed exchange rate, and companies would be wary to pay through Chinese yuan or accept to Chinese yuan. But this can signal where even the other countries can replace the US dollar in the coming future if the things go in the right way. And Chinese yuan, this is the right opportunity to make the yuan more popular in acceptable payments. GST hike for pump sets will affect the farm sector. The rate of tax on the pump set which are used in the farm sector was slightly increased in the last GST council. This would have other unseen implications for the farm sector. And what are those implications? Now, approximately the current cost of pump set is around 40,000 according to the article. So, if the rate has increased from 12% to 18%, apart from this basic cost of 40,000, the farmer has to pay almost 2,400 rupees just for the GST. So, this would be a direct impact on the Indian farmer who is already suffering losses, and you know how the farm sector is not very profitable venture, and having a high GST rate on farm implements would again adversely impact the Indian agriculture. And this also has other implication. The other implication being, as compared to the branded pump set which have GST, if the farmer goes for locally assembled pump set which a local vendor can assemble manually and give, and there, because the local vendor may not be registered, there may not be GST there, and the farmer can go and purchase there because he would be thinking of saving this 2500 rupees. So if he purchases the local pump set from the local vendor, the energy efficiency of those local pump sets would be very low, and they would be consuming more electricity. And on these states, especially few states which give free electricity to farmers, the electricity consumption in those states would increase. Again, that has repercussions. The pump sets and high electricity consumption and high usage of pump set would again impact the environment. It would reduce the groundwater. It increases the salinity of the soil. It would again lead to higher carbon emissions because of increased electricity. So you can see how a small change as a GST tax is having so many implications on the economy, on the farming sector, on the environment, on the energy efficiency, and the state's finances and policies. These articles are not related to UPSC exam, so you can skip them. That's all for today. Thank you so much.